Today, I'm going to talk to you about negative self-talk. I'm going to share 3 powerful techniques that you can use to help to deal with negative self-talk as it arises. And ultimately, it will help you to get a handle of not only your mind, but also your life in general. Because at the end of the day, our thoughts create whatever is showing up in our life on a day-to-day basis. So what exactly is negative self-talk? Essentially, it's that internal dialogue, the negative talking points that we have with ourselves. Sometimes we have it in our minds mentally. Other times we're bold with it and we have a full-blown conversation with ourselves, which is 99% of the time it's negative. And the crazy part of it is that it's like we're not even aware that we're having this negative discussion going on. It's like a computer program that's running in the background, that's running on autopilot. We're not aware of it. Oftentimes it's happening on a subconscious level, which is kind of scary. Most of us have heard of the saying, garbage in, garbage out. The same concept applies to negative self-talk. We have the tendency to believe whatever it is that we say about ourselves. So if we're constantly engaged in negative self-talk, that translates into negativity in our lives. So it shows up as low self-esteem, a lack of confidence, maybe hopelessness, helplessness, high degrees of stress, even depression. Again, garbage in, garbage out. Changing, transforming that negative self-talk requires that we are vigilant and we are keenly aware of what it is that we're saying to ourselves and about ourselves. And whenever we catch ourselves saying something negative or rehearsing a memory of the past or predicting something that will happen in the future that will have a negative consequence, we have to immediately catch ourselves and to say something more realistic or something more positive. So you want to say something that is quite the opposite of what we're thinking or saying at the time. So here are 3 very powerful ways to stop negative self-talk right in its tracks. The first technique that we're going to discuss is called pattern interrupt. And for this exercise, you're going to need a rubber band or something that's elastic. And you're going to place that rubber band around your wrist. And you want to become aware of instances when you're engaged in negativity, negative self-talk, when you're having a negative rehearsal of what could happen in the future, or you're thinking about something that has happened in the past. In that moment, you want to interrupt that thought pattern. And the way you're going to interrupt that is by snapping the rubber band against your wrist. And it should give a stinging sensation, thus interrupting that pattern. So you're going to snap the rubber band, kind of hurts. And then you're going to say the opposite of that negative thought that you were having. So you're going to say something more affirming, something more positive, the opposite of the thought that you were having. So here's an example. Say you're in the mirror, you're getting dressed for work, and you look down at your stomach and you see 3 fat rolls just sitting there. And you start saying to yourself, dang, man, I'm fat. Or, damn, I'll never lose weight. Or you start comparing yourself to your 20-year-old sister who has a pretty fit physique. You're like, man, I wish I could be like so and so. In that moment, you're going to grab that rubber band on your wrist, you're going to snap it, and it's going to sting. So we want to interrupt that pattern. And then you're going to shift to more of a positive affirmation, positive self-talk. And you could say something like, I love and accept my body just the way it is. Right now, my body is this way, but it's not like a tree. I can change it. I can begin to exercise. I can begin to eat more healthier. I can begin to drink more water. I can begin to start loving my body and repeating positive affirmations to myself. And I can reverse what is happening with my body right now. So you catch yourself with the negativity, you snap the rubber band, and you say more of a positive affirmation, something opposite. You rephrase whatever it is that you were saying into something more positive and empowering. Years ago, I used to be a chronic complainer. I used to complain about everything. If it was hot outside, I'll complain. When it got cold, I complained. I would complain when we didn't have enough rain to water for our lawn. And whenever it started to rain, I would complain. I would complain about everything. And I started to realize that, dang, doesn't serve me. It's really toxic to be a complainer. And I was like, you know what? I am going to change this habit. And I read a book about complaining. And I started to do this exercise. Actually, in the book, it talked about just wearing a bracelet and shifting the bracelet from one hand to the other whenever you caught yourself complaining. But I wanted to take it up a notch. The shifting the bracelet just wasn't working. It wasn't really painful for me. And I used the rubber band exercise myself, and it totally shifted. Now, I didn't stop complaining in one day or 1 week. It took some time. It took actually a couple months for me to shift that behavior. And I'm not saying that I don't complain at all. I still complain, but it's not the way it used to be years ago. Rarely do I complain. And when I catch myself complaining, I shift that thought into something more positive, because at the end of the day, no one wants to hang around a complainer. I cannot stand it. But I have empathy for those who complain, because I used to be there myself. And I was able to use this rubber band exercise and reverse that negativity. And you can use it as well to reverse any negativity, any negative behavior that you want to shift. The second technique for addressing negative self-talk is to dispute that negative belief or the negative thought that you have. So you want to bring whatever it is that you're thinking. So let's think about the last example that I addressed. So you think you're fat, you'll never lose weight. You want to start questioning those thoughts. Will I never lose weight? No, that's not true. How do you know that you will never lose weight? Maybe you've had challenges with your weight in the past, but that's not to say that you cannot shift that situation tomorrow. You can change your habits. You can select better, more nourishing foods. You can change your behavior and become more active. So oftentimes we have these beliefs and we think they're the absolute truth, but in reality, they are not. And if we start to dispute in these beliefs, then opportunities will open up for us. Possibilities will open up for us. A new way or a new path forward will open up for us because we're no longer steeping in the negative. We are thinking of possibilities and ways we can change that which we thought was a permanent fact. So we can dispute our negative beliefs. And this is very profound and it takes practice. But when a thought or negative belief comes up, you want to start asking yourself questions that challenges that belief. And at the end of, you're looking for the truth, because those beliefs that we're having, it's not the absolute truth. So challenge those beliefs. The third and final method is something that I learned from practicing the Sedona method. And basically, it's similar to the inquiry that we just talked about. So whenever a negative thought arises, so I'm fat, I'll never lose weight, you notice it and you say these words: I am the boss. This is just a story in my head. I love you and I'm letting you go. I am the boss. This is a story in my head. I love you and I'm letting you go. Because the reality is, these are just stories. The story that we're telling ourselves. I'll never lose weight. I'm fat. I wish I would like my daughter, my 20-year-old daughter. It's just a story that we're concocting in our minds. And that's not the reality. That's not the truth. And because we are generating that story, we also have the ability to shift that story. And it's a choice. And it also takes a practice. Again, whenever the negativity arises, you immediately say, I am the boss. This is a story in my mind. I love you and I'm letting you go. If you found this video to be of any value, I would love that you give me a like below. And also share it with one person. Share with your sister or your mother. Sharing is caring. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also leave a comment below. Comment below by saying, I am committed to shifting my self-talk. I am committed to shifting my self-talk.